The rain pounded relentlessly against the thin metal roof of the shelter, a symphony of despair that echoed the chaos in my heart. I clutched my 6-year-old daughter Lily closer to me, her tiny body shivering under the threadbare blanket we'd been given. Her wide eyes, once sparkling with innocent joy, now held a haunted look that no child should ever know. "Mommy, when can we go home?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the sobs of strangers in the bunks around us. Home. The word twisted like a knife in my gut. It wasn't just any home, it was the house I'd grown up in. The one filled with memories of laughter, birthday cakes, and family holidays. But now, it stood empty of us. Its rooms rented out to strangers for a profit that my own parents pocketed without a second thought. How had it come to this? The question haunted me every waking moment, replaying like a broken record in my mind as I stared at the peeling paint on the shelter walls. It all began with what I thought was love. I met my ex-husband Mark in college, a whirlwind romance that swept me off my feet with promises of forever. He was charismatic, ambitious, the kind of man who made you believe in fairy tales. We married young, had Lily soon after, and for a while life seemed perfect. But cracks appeared slowly, like fissures in ice before a thaw. Mark's business ventures turned out to be risky gambles, draining our savings account drop by drop. Arguments escalated. His charm morphed into control, his affection into indifference. When he finally left, it was with a suitcase and a smirk, leaving me buried under a mountain of debt and the sole responsibility for our daughter. Devastated and broke, I had nowhere to turn but to my parents. They lived in the old Victorian house on Elm Street, the one with the wraparound porch and the creaky wooden floors that held the echoes of my childhood. My father, a stern accountant who prized order above all, and my mother, a homemaker whose smiles always seemed a bit too practiced, had raised me there. "Of course, dear," my mother said when I called, her voice laced with that familiar mix of concern and condescension. "Come home. We'll sort this out as a family." Lily and I arrived on a sunny afternoon, our belongings crammed into the back of a borrowed car. The house smelled of fresh-baked cookies, a deliberate touch from my mother, no doubt. For those first few days, it felt like a balm on my wounded soul. Lily explored the garden, chasing butterflies among the overgrown rosebush, her giggles a stark contrast to the silence that had enveloped our old apartment. I helped with chores, applied for jobs, and tried to rebuild. My parents nodded approvingly at my efforts, but I caught the sideways glances, the murmured conversations behind closed doors. As weeks turned into a month, the undercurrents grew stronger. My father complained about the grocery bills, pointing out how Lily's picky eating was wasting food. My mother sighed dramatically whenever I left dishes in the sink, as if my mere presence disrupted their perfect routine. I bit my tongue, grateful for the roof over our heads, but the tension built like storm clouds on the horizon. Then came the evening that shattered everything. We were in the living room, the antique clock ticking ominously on the mantel. My parents sat across from me on the floral sofa, their faces set in matching expressions of resolve. Lily was upstairs, mercifully asleep. "We need to talk," my father said, his voice flat and unyielding. I nodded, expecting another lecture on responsibility. But what followed was a blow I never saw coming. "We're putting the house up for rent," he announced. "The market's good right now, and we could use the extra income. We're thinking of downsizing to something smaller, maybe a condo in Florida." My heart plummeted. But what about us? Where will Lily and I go? My mother fidgeted with her necklace, avoiding my eyes. "You're 32, Sarah. It's time you stood on your own feet. We've done enough." "Enough?" The word exploded from me, laced with disbelief. "You invited us here. You said we figure it out as a family." "Things change," my father replied coolly. "We've given you a month to get back on track. That's more than fair. A week. That's all they extended it to after my pleas. 7 days to pack our fragmented lives into black garbage bags and say goodbye to the only stability we had. The last morning, as I loaded the car, Lily clung to my leg, tears streaming down her face. Why are Grandma and Grandpa mad at us, Mommy? I knelt down, forcing a smile through my own tears. They're not mad, sweetie. We're just going on a little adventure. But inside, betrayal burned like acid. How could the people who bandaged my scraped knees and cheered at my graduations cast us out like unwanted tenants? The shelter was a grim awakening. Tucked in the industrial part of town, it was a converted warehouse with rows of metal bunks stacked like sardine cans. The air reeked of unwashed bodies, cheap disinfectant, and desperation. We were assigned a lower bunk in the women's section, sharing the space with mothers like me fleeing abuse, evicted, or simply down on their luck. Lily's eyes widened at the sight, her small hand gripping mine tighter. That first night was hell. The rain started just after lights out, hammering the roof like gunfire. Lily whimpered, burying her face in my chest. It's too loud, Mommy. I want my room back. I rocked her gently, humming lullabies from my own childhood, but sleep evaded me. Memories flooded in. Christmases with stockings hung by the fireplace, summer barbecues in the backyard, my parents' proud smiles at my wedding. Had it all been a facade? Or had I somehow failed them so profoundly that I deserved this? Days blurred into a monotonous grind. Mornings meant lining up for watery oatmeal and instant coffee, Lily picking at her food with a frown. I spent hours at the shelter's computer lab, scouring job listings, my resume a patchwork of part-time gigs and interrupted dreams. Afternoons were for playtime in the cramped rec room, where Lily built forts with donated toys, her imagination a shield against the harsh reality. But evenings were the worst story time under fluorescent lights, surrounded by the quiet despair of others. I met Maria there, a single mom with twin boys. Her story a mirror of mine. Betrayed by family, fighting for scraps. Blood don't mean loyalty, she said one night as we shared a cigarette outside, the rain finally easing into a drizzle. You gotta build your own tribe. Her words stuck with me, a spark in the darkness. We swapped tips on food banks, free clinics, and temp agencies. Lily bonded with her boys, their laughter a rare bright spot, but the toll on Lily was heartbreaking. She stopped asking about home after a while, but her drawings told the truth stick figures of a family house with X's over the grandparents. Nightmares plagued her. She'd wake screaming, convinced monsters were coming. They took our home, she'd sob, and I'd hold her, whispering promises I prayed I could keep. We'll have a new home soon, baby. Just you and me stronger than ever. My own anger simmered, fueling late-night journal entries scribbled by flashlight. How could they rent out my childhood bedroom to strangers? I imagined them counting the rent money, sipping coffee in some sunny condo, oblivious to our suffering. Once, I drove by the house on a whim, parking across the street. Lights glowed in the windows, a new family's car in the driveway. It felt like witnessing a desecration. Tears blurred my vision as I sped away, vowing never to look back. Months dragged on, each one etching deeper lines of resolve into my face. I landed a job at a local diner, waitressing shifts that left my feet aching but my pockets fuller. Savings grew slowly, $1 here, a tip there. The shelter staff helped with applications for subsidized housing, their encouragement a lifeline. Lily started kindergarten at the public school nearby, her backpack a hand-me-down brightened with stickers. Look, Mommy, I drew our new home, she'd say, holding up crayon masterpieces of a little cottage with flowers. Through it all, the betrayal lingered like a shadow, but it also forged something unbreakable in me, a fierce determination to protect Lily from the world's cruelties. We survived the storm, emerging battered but not broken. As I tucked her in one night, her breathing steady in sleep, I allowed myself a glimmer of hope. We were on the cusp of something better, a life rebuilt from the ruins. Little did I know, fate had one more twist in store, a revelation that would upend everything. What if the house you were evicted from held a secret worth millions, and your parents knew it all along? The letter arrived on a crisp autumn morning, tucked among bills and junk mail in our cramped new apartment. My hands trembled as I tore it open. the law firm's embossed seal glaring like an accusation. "Regarding the estate of your late grandmother," it began. "Grandmother? She'd passed years ago, or so I'd been told." But the words that followed ignited a firestorm in my soul. My heart raced, a mix of confusion and a dawning fury that made the room spin. How many lies had been woven into the fabric of my life? It turned out my parents had lied, not just about grandmother's death, but about everything. She hadn't faded away penniless in some forgotten nursing home, her life reduced to faded photographs and whispered regrets. No, she'd been a woman of quiet cunning, amassing a hidden fortune over decades. Tied intricately to the old Victorian house on Elm Street, the very one they callously rented out from under Lily and me, were secrets buried deep. In the attic, beneath layers of dusty floorboards and forgotten trunks, lay a collection of rare artifacts, antique jewels passed down from European nobility, forgotten stock bonds from booming post-war companies, and deeds to overlooked properties scattered across the state. The appraiser's estimate? Over $2 million. And according to her meticulously drafted will, discovered in a safety deposit box no one knew existed, it was all meant for me, her only granddaughter, and my child Lily. The revelation hit like a thunderclap. I sat on the edge of our sagging couch, the letter crumbling in my fist, tears blurring the ink. Memories surged, grandmother's visits during my childhood, her arthritic hands pressing small trinkets into mine, a locket here, a brooch there, always with a wink and a whisper, "These are more than they seem, Sarah." I dismissed them as sentimental quirks, but now they screamed of foresight. She'd known my parents' greed, perhaps foreseen their betrayal. Why else hide her legacy so carefully, specifying in the will that it bypass her children entirely? Rage boiled over, a volcanic eruption I suppressed for months in the shelter. I grabbed my phone, fingers flying across the screen to dial their number. It rang twice before my mother picked up, her voice saccharine as ever. "Sarah, is everything all right?" "You knew," I hissed, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside. "You kicked us out to hunt for it yourselves. Grandmother's fortune is mine. The house, the artifacts, all of it." Silence stretched like a taut wire. Then, a sharp intake of breath. "How did you—" My father snatched the phone, his bark cutting in. "This is nonsense. That old bat left nothing but debts." But the lies crumbled under the weight of evidence. The lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Elena who'd taken my case pro bono after hearing our story, had uncovered emails, bank records, proof they'd hired a private investigator to scour the house post-eviction. They'd torn up floorboards, rifled through walls, all while we shivered in that godforsaken shelter. We thought we deserved it more, my mother finally admitted, her voice cracking like thin ice. "You were always so ungrateful, Sarah, always taking, never giving back." Ungrateful? The word ignited fresh fury. Ungrateful for what? For enduring their conditional love, for surviving Mark's abandonment, for shielding Lily from their indifference? I hung up, the phone clattering to the floor. That night, as Lily slept in her narrow bed, I paced the apartment, the walls closing in. The betrayal wasn't just financial. It was a gutting of trust, a revelation that my parents had viewed me not as family, but as an obstacle. How long had they plotted? Had they invited us in only to assess if we stumble upon the secrets ourselves? The lawsuit that followed was brutal, a war waged in sterile courtrooms that peeled back layers of family deceit like rotten wallpaper. Elena was a force, subpoenaing documents that revealed forged signatures on grandmother's medical records, hidden appraisals of the artifacts dated weeks before our eviction. My parents hired a slick attorney, painting me as the prodigal daughter, unstable after the divorce, burdensomely dependent. She chose her path, my father testified, his eyes cold as steel, avoiding my gaze across the room. My mother wept theatrically, dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief, murmuring about tough love and enabling bad choices. But the truth was undeniable. Witnesses emerged. A neighbor who'd seen my parents hauling boxes from the attic late at night, The investigator they'd hire spilling details under oath. And then there was grandmother's will, ironclad and witnessed by impartial notaries. Lily, now 7, sat in the waiting area during hearings, her small fingers clutching a stuffed bear from the shelter days. She didn't understand the legalese, but she sensed the tension, asking in her innocent way, "Are we fighting the bad guys, Mommy?" I nod, forcing a smile, but inside my heart ached. This wasn't just for money. It was for justice, for the nights she'd cried herself to sleep in that bunk, for the childhood innocence stolen by their greed. The proceedings dragged on for months, each session a fresh wound. I balanced it with my diner job, rushing from shifts smelling of grease to depositions in borrowed suits. Friends from the shelter rallied, Maria sent encouraging texts, even showed up once with homemade tamales for luck. "You're showing them what a real mama bear looks like," she'd say, her own battles fueling her fire. Lily's schoolwork suffered at first. She'd draw pictures of courtrooms with monsters in suits, but slowly, as I explained in age-appropriate terms, she grew resilient. "We're like superheroes," she'd declare, cape fashioned from an old towel, and I'd laugh through tears, marveling at her strength. Flashbacks haunted me during lulls. The shelter's metallic tang, Lily's shivers against my side, the way hope had felt like a fragile thread. Now that thread wove into a rope of determination. I pored over documents at night, highlighter in hand, uncovering more. My parents had even tried to sell one of the jewels prematurely, a diamond necklace traced back to grandmother's immigrant roots. It was appraised at $150,000 alone. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with silver hair, listened intently, her gavel a symbol of impending reckoning. In the end, we won. The ruling came on a gray winter day. The courtroom hushed as she declared the estate rightfully mine. My parents' faces crumpled, my father's stoic mask cracking into defeat, my mother's sobs genuine this time. The house was ours, the fortune secured, with penalties tacked on for their fraud. Elena hugged me outside, her eyes shining. "You did it, Sarah, for you and Lily." But victory tasted bittersweet, a hollow echo in my chest. We reclaimed the house, but it felt tainted, its walls whispering of betrayal. Lily wandered the rooms wide-eyed, touching the banisters with tentative fingers. "Is this our home now, Mommy?" She'd ask, and I'd nod, but the ghosts lingered. We didn't stay long. Instead, we sold it all, the artifacts auctioned to collectors. The properties flipped for profit. The money funded a fresh start, a cozy bungalow in a quiet suburb, with a yard for Lily to run free and a kitchen where I could bake without echoes of the past. Lily's laughter returned, pure and unburdened, as she planted flowers in our new garden, tulips and daisies blooming under her care. School became a joy. She made friends, joined art club, her drawings shifting from dark scribbles to vibrant scenes of families' chosen ones, with no X's over faces. I quit the diner, enrolling in night classes for a degree in social work, driven to help others like us, those cast aside by the very people meant to protect them. And me? I learned that family isn't blood, it's the bonds we choose to nurture, the hands that lift us when others push us down. Maria became like a sister, our kids' playdates a reminder of found kinship. As for my parents, they faded into irrelevance, their greed a cautionary tale whispered in the wind. They tried reaching out once, a terse email pleading reconciliation, but I deleted it unread. Forgiveness? Maybe someday, but not at the cost of my peace. Yet, sometimes, on quiet nights, as I sip tea on the porch watching stars prick the sky, I wonder, what other secrets lie buried in the hearts of those we once trusted? Grandmother's locket, now around Lily's neck, holds a tiny key perhaps to another mystery, or maybe just a metaphor for unlocking our own strength. Life moves forward, scars fading but lessons etched deep. We've built our fortress from the ruins, Lily and I unbreakable, blooming in the light of hard-won freedom. But the past's shadows remind me, trust is earned, not inherited, and some inheritances come wrapped in thorns.